Good evening, race fans, and welcome back once again as the stars of the United Dirt Sim Series Goyet Trucking 360 Sportsman Division are ready to do battle here at Limaland. This little quarter mile has a pretty decent bank through the corners and is a fairly wide surface for a quarter mile, so we expect to see some pretty exciting racing here this evening. Those of you that joined us here just a little bit ago saw our 305 division. That was the Liberty Tow Service 305s. As you saw, there's a lot of action that can come out of a track like this one. The banking does allow multiple lines to form, and around the very bottom there's not quite as much banking as there is right up against the fence, and that definitely assists in allowing these drivers to pick a line that suits them and continue to remain fast around the track. Now, last week we saw a pretty amazing battle between Garrett Pepiot and Jason Nygaard at the high banks of Eldora. So I'm kind of curious if we're going to see the same thing going into tonight's race, although I do believe Garrett Pepiot is not registered this evening, so that would be a little bit of a disappointment if we're not able to see him come back to defend on week number 2. While we have a few moments here, I wanted to go down and talk to a few of our drivers that are set to do a little racing this evening and see what they have in store for us and kind of what their plans are going into a race at a little track like this. And to start things out, I'm going to get a hold of Aiden Beerline here, who was Mr. Consistency last season, who actually pulled off the 360 Series Championship. Aiden, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
All right, so for the fans that are watching at home, what kind of insight can you give us as to how to get around a little bull ring with a little bit of width like Limaland?
Mostly just make sure you hit your marks. If you don't, if you don't arc it enough or you arc it too much, people can pass you, or you mess up and hit the inside tire, or you hit the wall on the outside, a bunch of things like that. Make sure you hit your marks right.
And going off of that, where can we most likely expect to see you out on the track this evening? You looking at high side most of the night, or just kind of going to go where the track takes you?
Probably top. That's like where I like to run, top a lot,
All right.
especially here.
Well, thanks for talking with me for a few minutes, and good luck this evening.
Thank you.
That was Aiden Beerline, driver of the 13A and part of KPR Motorsports. And let's see who else we've got that we can grab a hold of here. Tell you what, let's get a word real quick if I can get him dragged up into the room. And here we go. Down in the pit now with Dave Ward Jr., who has elected to just run the 360s this season. Dave, what drew you to the 360 competition this year?
I figured, you know what, Darren, if I'm going to be slow in something, it might as well be 360s.
Well,
no, I don't know. I've had a lot of other people that were wanting to run other races and trying to be accommodating, and I just favor the 360s over the 305s a little bit, so I thought, why not give her hell?
All right, well, going into a race on a little quarter mile like this, what kind of game plan do you usually bring to the track?
Well, if I tell everybody my game plan now, Darren, then I'm going to get jammed up, but I'll do it anyway. I am going to run 100% down low as much as possible and just try and wheel it around until the track comes to me and stay out of trouble.
Some of the time that plan works out better than you would really expect it to.
It actually worked out last season for me here at Limaland, not too horribly bad. I think it was a top 10 finish, so we're going to see what we can do here, and we're going for the win tonight.
All right, well, thanks for having a little chat with us here, and good luck this evening.
Absolutely, buddy. Thank you, ma'am.
Everybody, that was Dave Ward Jr. of Sofa King Fast Sim Sports driving the 53 JR. So that's a couple different aspects on how to approach this race. It'll be interesting to see what is actually going to pay off for these drivers as the evening progresses. And with that, we've got a couple minutes before we'll be moving into qualifying time trials, so we'll take a moment and go ahead and take care of our nation's first song.
Two-time Grammy and three-time Academy of Country Music Award winner Leanne Rimes in the performance of our national anthem.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight, o'er the ramparts we watched, were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that a flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave.
Alright, and welcome back once again as we're ready to move into qualifying time trials. Should be interesting to see who will lay down the fastest lap here. Drivers will have 2 laps under green to produce the fastest lap possible within this 5-minute time period. And it looks like Coulter West is already out on the track. Let's go ahead and get our qualifying board up and running. And Coulter West's first lap is an 11.284, so definitely a good lap. Trace Olson coming in right behind him with an 11.409. Coulter West's second lap not quite as good. Now Justin Stoltz is going to jump to the top of the board with an 11.279. So 11.279, the time to beat. Now Chris Jones is going to tie Coulter West with an 11.284. It's going to move him into the second spot now. Hayden Harvey with quick time, 11.257. Jake Greenwood's first lap is an 11.312. That's going to put him about 6th on the board. Still waiting to see times from some of the heavy hitters here like Jason Nygaard. And as we approach the 3-minute point, looks like Hayden Harvey still sitting atop the charts at an 11.249. Second, Justin Stoltz with a 11.279. Chris Jones sitting third, 11.284, tied with Coulter West sitting fourth. And looks like Randy Shreve is going to now jump into the second quick with an 11.277, so very good lap from Randy Shreves. So current top 5, Hayden Harvey, Randy Shreves, Justin Souls, Chris Jones, Coulter West, and Trace Olson. And looks like Jason Nygaard is now the man on the clock, taking a green flag this time by. And Jason Nygaard's first time. Did not score, so possibly a slight issue for Jason Nygaard. Unable to set a time here. So possibly some glitches with the iRacing service this evening, as Jason Nygaard was unable to get a time, which currently he has scored 21st out of 21 drivers scheduled to start tonight's races. So, top of the charts, Hayden Harvey, 11.249. Clint Stone sliding into that second spot at an 11.255. So 6 thousandths separating those two drivers. Randy Shreves sitting third, 11.277. Justin Souls in fourth. Chris Jones fifth. Coulter West sixth. Trace Olson seventh. Jake Greenwood in eighth. Austin Stern in ninth. Aiden Beerline in 10th. Looks like Doug Lockwood is going to come in 11th with an 11.369. And among the drivers that took a time, looking at right around 1.2 seconds spread, and with 30 seconds left here in qualifying time trials, I just want to take a moment and thank our sponsors here at the United Dirt Sim Series. Goyet Trucking, our title sponsor of the United Dirt Sim Series 360s. Works Graphics, which is the iRacing design company of Dave Ward. Speed World Hobbies for all your RC needs. Pushing the Cushion Productions bringing you tonight's broadcast. Sofa King Fast Sim Sports, one of the teams that's been around since the very beginning of the United Dirt Sim Series, and quite a few fast drivers there at that team. Jessup Logistics, if you're needing anything hauled or warehoused, make sure to give them a shout. They are out of the Indianapolis area. And of course, Design Metal Art, operating out of Knoxville, Iowa, doing CNC plasma cutting and laser engraving. And with that, that's going to bring us around to our first heat race. So let me get the screen configured here. And looks like starting on the pole, driving the number 76, that is Trace Olson. Outside of him in the 54, the crazy Australian Chris Jones. Row number 2, driving the number 56, Randy Shreves of Sofa King Fast Sim Sports. And outside of him, Hayden Harvey in the 55. Row number 3 is going to be Austin Stern, being scored as the 000. Let's take a look at his car. Looks like it's going to be the 75. And outside of him, driving the 08, that is Doug Lockwood. Row number 4, Dante Brown in the 19, and outside of him, Dustin Sargent driving the number 77. And row number 5, Joshua Piquel being scored as the 10. The car has the 33 on the roof. And the number 2 of Andrew Hansen, the Wrecking Ball. And rounding out the field, driving the number 22, that is Jason Nygaard. Look for this guy to be coming forward in a hurry. Drivers ready to go out of turn 4 this time. Trace Olson looking, and he's on the gas pedal out of turn number 4. Olson going to get the early lead, goes to the bottom in turn 1. Look at Chris Jones all the way up against that cushion. He's going to maintain second position. Now going to dive back down to the middle of the track through 3 and 4. Hayden Harvey riding in that third spot. Randy Shreves fourth. Jason Nygaard sitting 10th right now. He's picked off Joshua Piquel. Trace Olson continues to run the bottom through 1 and 2. Chris Jones has kind of elected to follow him around the track, at least for the moment. fast, heavy track here in the early going of heat race number 1. Hayden Harvey now knocking on the back door of Chris Jones. Looks like the top 5 have all elected to run the middle, at least for the moment. Trace Olson still leading, this time 4 laps to go. Now Chris Jones with a slight bobble there out of turn number 2. That's going to allow Hayden Harvey to pull up beside him through 3 and 4, but looks like Harvey now going to bobble out of the exit of turn 4 and hand the position back. Let's jump back and keep an eye on that race. Hayden Harvey electing to run. A little bit of a cushion is already formed. Now Chris Jones going to shut the door out of turn number 2. White flag out for Trace Olson this time by. Now Hayden Harvey with a good run down the front stretch. We'll see if he can do anything. Chris Jones once again slams the door out of turn number 2. Harvey down to the bottom. Slide job. Chris Jones gives him some room. Gives second place to Hayden Harvey. Chris Jones bringing it home 3rd. Randy Shreves 4th, and those top 4 will continue on to tonight's A main automatically. As we only have 21 drivers, we should see everyone transfer into the A main automatically. And that's going to bring us around to heat race number 2, second and final heat race. Starting on the pole, driving the number 43, that is Jake Greenwood. Outside of him, Coulter West in the number 12. At least being scored as the number 12, I would imagine the car is the 10C. Row number 2, the number 23 of Justin Stolz, and the 88 of Clint Stone. Row number 3, Aiden Beerline in the 13A. You heard from him earlier. He really likes to run up top at most tracks, so we'll see if he goes up there. And Blaine Brink in the 021. Row number 4, Anthony Goyet in the number 29. And outside of him, Stephen Vogelsong in the 027. Row number 5 will be Adam Thompson in the 17 and Dave Ward Jr. in the 53. Jake Greenwood, the lucky recipient of that pole position starting spot thanks to the invert that United Dirt Sim Series does. The top 4 drivers in each heat race are completely inverted to try to improve the racing quality in the heat races. And this time out of turn number 4, Jake Greenwood looking for the green flag. And he is on the gas pedal early out of turn number 4. Going to get a big lead, probably 5 or 6 car lengths down into turn number 1. Greenwood grabs the cushion through 1 and 2 and looks to set sail now as Coulter West and Justin Stolz do battle for the 2nd place. Now Clint Stone going to move up into 3rd. Use the momentum around the outside to sneak past Justin Stolz. Jake Greenwood continues to open up his lead. Coulter West feeling the pressure now as Clint Stone is doing everything he can to find a line past him. Now Justin Stolz looking on that 3rd place starting spot. Whoa, looks like Coulter West got a little piece of the fence. That's going to bring out the yellow flag here on lap number 3. So Coulter West going to end up restarting from the back after he got a big piece of the fence there and left Clint Stone with not many places to go. Dave Ward Jr., the other driver we heard from earlier, currently sitting 9th. This time by, drivers receiving the 1 to go, so they're going to form up double wide for this first restart in heat race number 2. Jake Greenwood and Clint Stone looking for the green flag out of turn number 4. Greenwood on the loud pedal early in turn 3. He really caught Clint Stone sleeping, and he's going to open up his lead once again. Looked like Blaine Brink may have gotten a little piece of the wall there in turn 1. I don't think that car really wanted to turn when he went down in that corner. That's going to bring the caution flag back out with 6 laps to go. And one of the things these drivers have to be asking themselves at this moment is, did I put in enough fuel? Forming up 2 by 2 back through the field. Once again, Jake Greenwood and Clint Stone looking for the green flag out of turn number 4, and as you can see, the track already beginning to slick off on the high side. It'll be interesting to see how much longer it holds on. Greenwood with a good jump down into turn number 1. He elects to go back to the cushion, almost knocking the dust off the wall through 1 and 2. And yellow flag going to come out once again with 5 laps to go, so possibly some early season jitters from a few of these drivers here in heat race number 2. Not sure who was involved in that last wreck, but I do see Aiden Beerline now toward the back of the pack, as well as Justin Stoles possibly. Scratch that. Justin Stoll still running in a good position, running 3rd. And caution lights are going to go out on the pace truck. This time it'll be single file out of turn number 4. Jake Greenwood this time going to look down the track for this restart.
Green, green, green.
Guys trying to get on the gas pedal a little bit early. Looks like everything did sort itself out by the time we got back to the flag stand, so Jake Greenwood leads on the first lap from restart. 3 laps to go this time by. Clint Stone still running 2nd. It looks like Clint Stone got a big piece of the wall. I believe Coulter West also got a big piece of the wall there and possibly collected Blaine Brink.
Yellow
Now
flag
we
is
got
out.
a big mess out of turn number 4. Multiple cars involved, and caution flag going to come out one more time. So Justin Stoles is going to be the lucky recipient of 2nd place, thanks to the error from Clint Stone on that restart. Track beginning to look very, very racy as the top side begins to slick off. Still a lot of moisture down the track for these drivers to grab if they decide to go down there. Dave Ward now sitting in that 4th and final transfer spot, missing a front wing. So we expect to see a battle between him and Blaine Brink on this restart. And Greenwood going to pick up the throttle out of turn number 4. Once again, a great jump. Justin Stoll's going to follow him through turn 1 and 2 on the high side. These guys are running right up against that fence through the middle of the corner. Greenwood pretty much knocking the dirt off the wall as he goes around the track. White flag is out. And looks like Jake Greenwood going to pick up heat race number 2 victory with Justin Stoles behind him. And Dave Ward going to come home third. So for any race fans looking for some sim parts, make sure to check out the infield after this race. But luckily in the sim world, the car can be put together almost instantly when the session changes. So now we will have a moment to go into warm-up, as the drivers will have 5 minutes to try to wear the track in to whatever best suits them. And we will get an idea of how these cars are going to perform with a full fuel load in. And let's take a moment and go on board with Jake Greenwood, as he runs the high side all the way around Limaland. As you can see, a lot of throttle work, trying to keep that car right up against the fence without shooting over the cushion. A little error when you're that close to a wall can cost you big. Now he's going to work the bottom side of the track through 1 and 2. And those of you with a good set of eyes can see that the front stretch is actually significantly wider here at Limaland compared to the back stretch. So most of your action is going to occur on the backstretch if anybody's going to get together with anybody else. And that does change the racing line somewhat significantly as you move around the track. Looks like fastest car in warm-up so far is Dustin Sargent in the number 77. Close to 3/10 faster than any of the other cars out there. So Dustin Sargent may have a very nice setup in that car, at least for tonight's A main. There at the very end, Jake Greenwood able to turn in an 11.846 to pull within 1/10 of Dustin Sargent. But with that, we're going to move into tonight's A main, and starting on the pole, driving the number 76, that is Trace Olson. Outside of him, driving the number 43, Jake Greenwood. Inside, row number 2, the number 55 of Hayden Harvey, and outside of him, the number 23 of Justin Stoles. Row number 3, starting 5th, Chris Jones, the crazy Australian, driving the purple and black number 54, and outside of him, the driver of the number 53 JR, that is the Davenport Dart of Dave Ward Jr. Row number 4, the number 56 of Randy Shreves, and outside of him, Clint Stone in the 88. Row number 5, Austin Stern driving the 75, being scored as the 000, and the 021 of Blaine Brink. Row number 6, starting 11th, the number 22 of Jason Nygaard. Once again, look for this guy to move forward early on. And outside of him, starting 12th, the number 17 of Adam Thompson. Row number 7, the Wrecking Ball, driving the number 2, Andrew Hansen, and outside of him, driving the 10C, that is Coulter West. Row number 8, driving the number 33, being scored as the 10, that is Joshua Pickell, and outside of him, the sponsor of the Goyet Trucking 360s, that is Anthony Goyet in the 29. Row number 9, Doug Lockwood in the 08, and the 13A of Aiden Beerline, another driver to really keep an eye on to move forward. And row number 10, Dante Brown and Dustin Sargent. And that will conclude our lineup for the A main as we look to go green, this time out of 4. Trace Olson going to take a good line out of turn number 4. But look at Jake Greenwood. Great job catching that start. We got 3 cars now looking to battle for the lead. As Hayden Harvey works the bottom, he's going to get a little too sideways off the exit. Trace Olson retains the lead on lap number 1. Jake Greenwood works the cushion off of turn number 2. He's going to pull alongside Hayden Harvey. Harvey still trying to look to find a line underneath Trace Olson, and that's going to bring out our first caution here on lap number 3. And possibly a couple drivers scratched from this evening. Adam Thompson and Doug Lockwood are already being scored a couple laps down. So that's going to leave us with 18 drivers out on the track. And Dave Ward now being scored in that 18th position, so possibly the cause of our caution flag. And drivers being given the order lineup 2 by 2 for the restart here on lap number 3. Trace Olson and Jake Greenwood once again looking for a good start out of turn number 4. And once again, they're going to be side by side off of turn number 4. Jake Greenwood elects to go to the top side. And look at the line from Trace Olson. 3 wide off of turn number 2, all the way into turn number 3. Hayden Harvey is going to move all the way up into second, almost had the lead from Jake Greenwood. Now Greenwood going to dive to the middle, try to cover off Hayden Harvey. They bang wheels. Greenwood gets turned around in front of the field, and he's upside down big time. Big crash for Jake Greenwood. And it should be interesting to see how UDSS officials rule on this one. As with Season 3, any driver involved in a caution will be sent to the rear. Pretty significant contact there between Hayden Harvey and Jake Greenwood. The question is, will they rule it a racing deal, or will they send him to the rear of the field? Looks like Jake Greenwood able to refire, and he'll be restarting from the 18th position. Now Hayden Harvey will have control of the field on this second and final double wide restart. And he's going to get on the throttle nice and early. Really caught Trace Olson asleep. Now Randy Shreves looking to the inside, trying to make a line around Trace Olson. And Chris Jones working the high side, waiting for that to come in. And yellow flag is going to come out one more time here on lap number 6. And for those watching at home, I'm sorry if you're having a little bit of trouble following the interval ticker during the cautions. It really does not like the do not count caution laps for my racing. It just continues to scroll over and over again as the drivers move around the track. Once we get back to green flag racing, everything should sort itself out, though. Going to go green flag out of turn number 4. Hayden Harvey once again with a good jump. Randy Shreves right on the tail tank of Trace Olson. And whoa, Hayden Harvey a little bit loose out of turn number 2. That's going to allow the top 4 all to be within striking distance. Randy Shreves and Chris Jones work in the middle. They're making some ground up pretty quickly. Both of them able to work around the outside of Trace Olson. Now Randy Shreves continuing to run the middle, sets his sights on Hayden Harvey. Harvey now going to elect to go topside. Shreves still continues to work the middle, now alongside into turn number 3. Randy Shreves, decent run through 3 and 4, but not able to capitalize. Hayden Harvey's going to retain the lead on lap number 9. Randy Shreves continues to work the middle, kind of working through the pebbles. A little bit of moisture still there in the middle. Now he's going to move top shelf and try to chase down Hayden Harvey, who's beginning to escape. Chris Jones with a good run this evening, currently sitting 3rd. And now he's looking to possibly move around Randy Shreves. Chris Jones working the inside. He's going to pass for second place. Now sets his sights on Hayden Harvey. As you can see, a very wide groove through the middle of this track, completely slicked off now. A few drivers able to make it work for them. Hayden Harvey now out to a very good lead, about 8-9 car lengths between him and Chris Jones. Whoa, and we got Dave Ward way out of shape there. Looks like he was able to clear the track, so we'll stay green this time.
Yellow, yellow, yellow.
And Chris Jones with a mistake. That's going to allow Jason Nygaard to catch up to him, and Randy Shreves to move back into second place. And what did I tell you, race fans? Jason Nygaard on the charge here in the midpoint of this race. So it looks like Nygaard is going to be scored in second. Scratch that, being scored in third as of the completion of lap number 14. And looks like this time by, drivers receiving the 1 to go. iRacing.com pace truck pulls off out of turn number 3. Hayden Harvey going to be on the throttle early. We're going to stay here with Randy Shreves and Jason Nygaard on the battle for second. Nygaard way up top shelf. Randy Shreves kind of covering off the line. And cautions breed cautions as the yellow flag going to come back out here on lap number 15. Lights are out on the iRacing.com pace truck. We should be green out of turn number 4. Randy Shreves still managing to hold on to second place as Jason Nygaard has worked his way, I believe, all the way from 12th up into the 3rd position.
Green, green, green.
Hayden Harvey with a good restart. Randy Shreves going to follow him to the high side. Nygaard going to follow as well. And look at Nygaard work all the way up on that cushion. And caution flag coming out once again. Looks like Clint Stone may have been involved in that last accident. Not sure who the second driver was. Looks like we're going to be green out of turn number 4. Hayden Harvey with a nice steady pace out of turn 4. Gets a good jump on Randy Shreves. Both of them are going to go top shelf, and look at Nygaard work the bottom through 1 and 2. Not able to get a run. Now that's going to allow Chris Jones to kind of get back in this race a little bit. Chris Jones following Nygaard around the bottom. Look at those wings pulled all the way back in the trunk. Track surface getting very, very slick. Now Nygaard with a decent run, starting to catch up to Randy Shreves. They're going to be side by side through 1 and 2. Nygaard almost got a big piece of the tire there, able to keep it
Yellow
going.
flag is out.
And caution flag is going to come out once again here with 11 laps remaining. I have to say, Hayden Harvey seems to be having the same kind of luck I do. Get out front and the cautions just won't go away long enough to get your rhythm back. But so far he's managing to hold on to that top spot. And no one has really shown him anything, so hopefully his luck will continue the rest of the evening. Hayden Harvey gonna take a nice slow pace through 3 and 4.
Green, green, green.
Manages to get Randy Shreves kind of out of position on the restart. Now Jason Nygaard once again trying to work the bottom side of the track. Chris Jones kind of follows him in. This time he's going to look to the middle. Nygaard and Shreves side by side through 1 and 2. Now Chris Jones is going to make it 3 wide off the corner. And look at Trace Olson trying to find his way up into this fight. Nygaard, Jones, and Shreves 3 wide off of turn number 2. Now Chris Jones with a good run down the backstretch. 3 wide all the way through 3 and 4.
Yellow, yellow.
And I do believe give third spot to Chris Jones as the caution flag came out right after they had crossed the start-finish line. And scratch that as Jason Nygaard has moved back into the 3rd spot. Take a little look off the back bumper of Hayden Harvey back through the field, and as you can see, a lot of gloss across that track surface, so not a lot of moisture left, a lot of rubber sitting on top of the track. They should be looking to go green this time by. Hayden Harvey this time picks up the throttle a little bit earlier. Doesn't get quite the jump on Randy Shreves that he had been getting, but still able to open up a decent gap here on this restart. And this time by, we're looking at 5 laps remaining. Jason Nygaard now putting the pressure on Randy Shreves. He's got the high side rolling, caution flag, with 5 laps to go. So 15 cars still scored on the lead lap. Austin Stern, Jake Greenwood, Dave Ward, Adam Thompson, and Doug Lockwood all out of contention at this point.
Green, green, green.
And Hayden Harvey once again with a good jump out of turn number 4. Randy Shreve's getting better and better every restart. Jason Nygaard still continues to put pressure on Shreves, working the high side. Now Shreves gets a little piece of the fence, and Nygaard gets turned around. Does he keep it going? Looks like he does, but Andrew Hansen gets turned around at the back of the field. And that's going to bring the caution out with 3 laps remaining, so we're looking at a green-white checkered scenario. And I do believe Jason Nygaard may have called it quits after that one. Now Hayden Harvey driving the 55 looks at 3 laps to go. No one has had anything for him up to this point. We'll see if Randy Shreves has been holding back. Harvey with a steady pace off of turn number 4. Gets a big jump on Randy Shreves this time. Chris Jones running 3rd. Now putting pressure on Shreves, working the low side of the track, but we're going to have a caution flag coming out here shortly. Nope, looks like they all managed to gather up the cars. Now Coulter West is going to put pressure on Chris Jones. White flag out for Hayden Harvey. And Harvey's going to pick up the win. Randy Shreves finishes 2nd. Chris Jones picking up that 3rd place, and Coulter West in 4th, right behind him. So it took a while to get there, but we finally got our 30 in. And looks like the top 3, Hayden Harvey, Randy Shreves, and Chris Jones. A few drivers kind of rolling around waiting to get in position. And Blaine Brink apparently completely oblivious to the fact that a broadcast is still going on as he's doing donuts across the field. And still waiting for a couple drivers to be in the post-race interview room. And looks like only one driver is going to jump in for post-race interviews, so we'll go ahead and bring him in here. Pulling off the win tonight and doing it in convincing fashion, Hayden Harvey, driver of the number 55. Man, it looked like no one had anything for you out there tonight.
Yep. Honestly, was a little surprised with the turnout that we had tonight in the car, because usually every time we've come here, it's hit and miss, and The past handful of times we've come here, we usually ended up in a wall and in the infield by the end of the night. So honestly, I was just happy to finish.
Yeah, it seemed like you stuck right against that wall the whole night. Was there any point at which you thought maybe I should get down low and just kind of coast?
Only real time I thought I should stay low was there towards the beginning because I knew it had a lot of moisture down there. But we kept going on through the race, and I got up to the lead. I kept an eye on that cushion and just saw it getting closer to that wall. And as it was wearing down on the bottom, I was starting to get loose coming out. So I decided it's time to move up to the top. And I moved up to the top. I just never left.
Yeah, it seemed like your restarts, you were getting a huge jump on Shreves. Now, at one point, looked like Nygaard and Shreves had a pretty good battle going on. Were you aware that they were battling, or were you just mainly focused on hitting your marks all the way around the track?
I was mainly focused on hitting my marks. I usually don't try and focus on the cars behind me unless I really hear them up close or see them on the inside, because you start focusing on the cars behind you and you get all messed up going into turns, especially running that high side close to the wall like that.
Now, how thin would you say that cushion got toward the end of the race? Because it seemed like everybody was basically knocking dirt off the fence the whole way around the track.
It was definitely a small margin. You mess up one time, you're going to get that wall. And if you got it, you had to know how to get out of it quick.
Well, you definitely led a pretty impressive race there. Like I said, nobody really had anything for you. Anybody you'd like to thank this evening?
I'd just like to thank everyone at Vanderpool Racing that's been sticking with me since I got onto this iRacing and has been helping, just being supporters the whole way. And everyone that supports the team, all sponsors, Jack's Wax, Vanderpool Construction, Mike M Designs, Chop House Race Products, 11 Pointer Outdoors, and Hunt to the Front. It wouldn't be possible without all them.
All right, well, congratulations on the win tonight. I assume we'll see you back here next week.
Oh, definitely.
And I'm not even sure where we're going to be back next week. Let me take a look at the schedule. Looks like we'll be coming back around to Lernerville, so
Another one of my better tracks.
Another exciting track, and one I always look forward to. All right, well, once again, congratulations, and we'll see you back here next week.
Yep. Thank you, guys. You have a good one.
All right, everybody, that was Hayden Harvey,
Darren.
55, who picked up the win tonight. And Dave Ward, how's it going?
I am not doing too bad, sir. We had that hard charger award,
All
and
right.
who's getting that tonight?
To be honest, I have no idea who ended up the hard charger there.
I think if I have it figured out right, it should be Dante Brown.
Yeah, Dante did start pretty deep in that field, so finished all the way up in 5th. 19 of Dante Brown picking up our hard charger award this evening.
So let's pull him up here real quick, and we'll do a quick little interview, okay?
Yeah, drag him up here if you can.
Is that all right?
Yeah.
Okay, 1 second. I'm working on it. He was way down.
Wind up here.
Dante!
Well, hey,
How are you doing, buddy?
I'm doing great.
Go ahead, Darren.
Dante, looks like you picked up our hard charger award this evening. I'm not sure where you started, but you worked your way all the way up to 5th place. Was there any key to you working your way up through the field like you did?
It was difficult. I mean, I started 19th, really bad heat race. But I think towards the end of the race, it was really just trying to get my wheels into that moisture that was left really low on the bottom and getting it spun up down there and playing safe and kind of keeping my nose clean throughout the whole thing, which is ironic because I think the piece that helped me the most was Joshua Piquel spun out in front of me and took my nose wing off, which tightened the car up a little bit and made it a little bit easier to keep it down there.
You know, the irony of that is way back when, I think it might have been season 1, Mark Jessup spun out in front of me, took my nose wing off at Limaland, and it was my first top 3.
Yeah, it's surprising how much it can actually help you at times.
Yes, yes. So yeah, you went all the way from 19th up to 5th. That's a hell of a drive.
Yeah, no, it was definitely fun.
All right. Well, anybody you'd like to thank coming into the Hard Charger Award this evening?
Yeah, I'd like to thank all my teammates there over at LGR Motorsports, Coulter West, Trace Olson, Blaine Brink, and Austin Stern. They helped me with the setup for most of the night. Really got me set up there for the future to make a run.
And I'm pretty sure that Coltrane Customs was giving out a free paint job tonight for the Hard Charger, so you won that.
Yeah, I'm actually going to go ahead and give that away, considering Coulter makes all of my paints for free. So I was actually going to give that to the car that finished in 19th place, Adam Thompson, if he wants it.
Well, that's quite a gesture there. So
There
we'll
you
have
go.
to get a hold of Adam Thompson and let him know that you have gifted the free paint scheme from Coltrane Customs.
That's awesome, man. Thank you very much, Dante, for sure.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks.
Sorry to bust in on you, Darren. I knew that we had it figured out, and with Coltrane Customs giving away a paint job and everything, we wanted to get that in there.
Oh,
And
definitely.
I had a sneaking suspicion he wasn't going to hold on to it since he got free paints from his painter Coulter West. So there you go.
All right, and looks like we got one last driver that's kind of wandered into victory lane here to get an interview. Let's go ahead and pull up Randy Shreves, who brought home second place tonight. Randy, it seemed like you were sitting there all night. You had a hell of a battle going on with Jason Nygaard. Was there any point at which you felt you could break away and try to make a run for Hayden Harvey, or did you just kind of cruise back there in second and take the points tonight?
Um, I was just kind of hanging on for dear life there at the end. It was so slick. I got into the wall a few times, and I wanted to try the bottom, but I just knew the top was fast, so I just stuck with it and prayed for the best. It actually worked out, so.
Some of the time, that's all you can do is just be patient up there, and it looked like you were just kind of being patient as you rolled around the top side. Now, you said you got into the wall a few times. We didn't see it a whole lot on the broadcast. Did it happen much, or just once or twice?
I think I actually got the wall at least 3 times.
So
It was pretty slick up there. It's hard to keep it out of the wall.
yeah, did you? I know a couple times Jason Nygaard caught up to you and was really putting pressure on you. Were you aware that he was even there, or were you just mainly focused on trying to keep the car on the track?
Yeah, I knew he was there, but also at the same time, I was just trying to keep it on the track. And I don't know. I got into the wall, and I think he may have gotten into the back of me. I don't know if that caused any accidents or anything. I just know he got into the back of me there, but it was my fault. I got into the wall.
All right.
But
well,
it was definitely a great race between me, Nygaard, and Hayden Harvey, and Chris Jones there at the end.
yeah, Chris Jones really did a hell of a job tonight. He usually doesn't have a lot of luck here with the United Dirt Sim Series, but he finally put one together and pulled off that top 3. So good race for
Yeah,
him.
I thought he was actually going to get me there at the end.
He definitely had the middle working, that's for sure.
Yeah, I noticed he was taking a way different line.
Yeah, did you ever consider moving down onto his line a little bit and just trying it out, or were you just kind of content to run where you were at?
I was pretty content up there. I wanted to go down to the bottom, but I just didn't know if it was fast or not. I just knew I was kind of keeping up with Hayden there, so I figured I'd keep it up there and wait for him to make a mistake, which he did not. He did a great job tonight.
Well, any way you look at it, it's still a second place and a pretty good points haul for this evening. So, being early in the season, you want as many points as you can get as early as possible. So, when the inevitable happens, you're in a better position. But I'm sure there's a few people you need to thank tonight.
Yeah, for sure. I definitely want to thank Sofa King Fast Sim Sports, Dave Ward at Works Graphics, Jessup Logistics, Speed World Hobbies, Design Metal Arts, and Goyet Trucking, and Pushing the Cushion Productions for putting this on, and you guys for announcing, and the UDSS for putting on such a great league.
All right. Well, I assume we're going to see you back here next week at Lernerville, correct?
Yes, sir.
All right. Well, congratulations on the second place tonight, and we'll see you next week.
All right, thanks, Darren.
Thank you. That was Randy Shreves, driver of the number 56, bringing home second place tonight. And Chris Jones was not available for interview, it looks like, so that will conclude our driver interviews this evening. So another interesting night of racing. Quite a few cautions, but with the do not count cautions turned on, we were able to get a full 30 laps of racing in on a very, very slicked off Limaland. And pretty interesting top three. Very talented drivers, but not what I would have initially picked for that top three. So with that, we'll go ahead and close it out. And hopefully next week we'll see you back here on Monday night for 305s and 360s coming to you live from Lernerville out in Sarver, Pennsylvania. And from all of us here at Pushing the Cushion Productions, we thank you for joining us, and we'll see you next time.